thank you for inviting me to your shoot. Maybe you may be in a better position to explain why we're here at Cherry Duck Studios today.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing today is it's my new men's luxury range. It's called Sknhead. And the concept came about 17 years ago. And I've waited and waited and waited. I know it seems a long time, but if you're bringing out a new range of products, you can't just bring out another range of clays and waxes and pomades because there's 1,000 of them on the market. So the whole concept behind Sknhead was coming out with some products with unique selling points, products that haven't been done before. So that one of the products is actually called Sknhead, and it's a product that you can use as a moisturizer on your face, body, hands and face, and it's a hair styling product. And basically, the concept came about many, many years ago when I had hair, believe it or not. I went to the awards, the Men's British Hairdresser of the Year Awards back in 1999, and I used to use this stuff called coconut butter. And I used to put it all over my body and I used to run it through my hair. And on the way to the awards, everyone was giving it, "What have you got in your hair?" I went, "Oh, coconut butter." So they all went, "Oh, you nugget." Next day, everyone doing the buzz. So I thought many, many years later, I wonder if it's possible to create a product that was light enough as a moisturizer, but heavy enough to be a hairstyler. So 4 years of manufacturing, 1,000 samples later, we cracked it. So the whole range consists of sea salt sprays, serums, clays, waxes, pomades, toners, but I wanted to bring out a killer product that nobody had done before. So that's the whole thing with Sknhead.
So today, what are you actually doing in Cherry Duck Studios?
So today what we're doing at Cherry Duck Studios, we're shooting all the campaign pictures, we're shooting all the sort of website pictures. There's going to be like 2 or 3 shoots we're going to be doing, but today we're shooting lots of content, lots of behind the scenes, lots of different looks. We're using mixed race guys, we're using black dudes, we're using white dudes, we're using Mexican dudes. It's a real sort of cosmopolitan type of feel to the whole thing. Very short fades, working into long hair, mid-length hair, long hair. So the thing with the barbering world now, even back in my day, you need to be able to do more than a fade. To make yourself an accomplished hairdresser or barber, you really need to know the fundamentals of hair cutting. Some of these young cats I see now dropping in these fades, I'm like, wow. I'm old school, I scissor over comb a lot, but these guys are working on some amazing looks. But what I found is, even for an old dog like me, there's still a lot of foundation that needs to be done. It's all right mastering the short back and side, but then there's a lot more head surface to work with. So what I've tried to do is bring out a range of barbering products that can also dip in to the hairdressing world as well. But fundamentally barbering, but a lot of hairdressers will use them because they've got a lot of sea salts and sprays and serums. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to Sknhead shortly. Maybe some of the barbers don't actually know your story. You started way back in 1999, I believe.
That's right.
Prior to that, you had a problem with drugs, drink and gambling. I don't really want to go into that. I just want to find out what spurred you, or what was your motivation to then change your life in hairdressing?
Long story short, moved from Manchester to Southend-on-Sea, and I ended up sort of not doing so well for the first 6. I was basically sleeping rough in Southend seafront basically for about 4 months, and then a really cool hairdresser called Lee Stafford, I got introduced to him, and he said, before I got into hair, I was an interior designer, so I used to do like sort of paint effects and sort of like, you know, interiors. So I ended up designing Lee Stafford's salon in Leigh-on-Sea called The House That Hair Built. And I spent a year around Lee, and I've seen all these cool cats, beautiful looking girls, cool looking guys. They were like rock and roll stars, these boys in Essex. And I thought, fancy a little bit of that. So I went to I went with Lee to the awards in 1999, British Hairdresser of the Year Awards, and Lee won Men's British Hairdresser of the Year. On the way back in the car, Lee said, I'm going to buy you a pair of scissors, I'm going to teach you how to cut hair, And this time, in a couple of years' time, you'll be on that stage. 2 years to the day, I was picking up the same award. So it was a real sort of rough boot camp, going home in tears every night. Because the old school way of hairdressing is different to these guys now, where you can't pick up a comb and whip someone's knuckles when they do a haircut wrong and say start again. But that was the way I was treated. It was like start again, useless, start again, useless, start again, useless. And then every time I earned 300 quid in tips, I'd run up to London and I'd book a Vidal Sassoon course. So I was just train, education, 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 foundation, foundation, foundation. So in the space of 2.5 years, I kind of mastered the basics of hairdressing. But because I had a little bit of edge and a bit of style myself, I thought if I can learn the fundamentals of hairdressing, square layers, round layers, nice baselines, then you can teach. There's 1,000 ways of designing a house, but there's only one way of building it, and that's with good foundation. So I learned the art of foundation. And then I won Men's British Hairdresser of the Year. My life changed. I was getting endorsements from blah, 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 blah. And then 9 months later, I had the opportunity to work with David Beckham, which was the first time I ever met a celebrity. It was the first time I'd ever been to London, and I created like the Mohawk, which was
on the front cover of GQ.
It was everywhere. I mean, it was like I had TV crews from Asia and Bangkok and Hong Kong and Miami and LA and New York and Spain and Sweden parked outside the shop for like 2 weeks. And that haircut just in the last 20 years is kind of like the most iconic haircut. But really, I was doing it 2 years before on girls. But what I did with Beckham, because the movie Taxi Driver was that very aggressive version of the Mohawk, I softened it all out on David because he's such a good looking boy. So I softened it out and left the sides a little bit longer and left all the detail around the edges, and it just went bananas. And then the sort of Image of the Year and Celebrity Hairdresser of the Year, and I won all these awards. And then it was just from there on, I was just like, I had wind in the sails. Confidence was up here. I still was a virgin in hairdressing, because hairdressing, you're supposed to be 3 or 4 years as an assistant before you even pick up a pair of scissors. So I was still a virgin, but I had the confidence. And because I'd been working with these high profile clients, it just opened up the floodgates. So I moved to London, and the whole TV thing started, which was bananas. And that show was on for like 52 weeks, every day, 7 days a week. The Salon was like a Channel 4 show. And then I went to America to do a show, and then I came back, and it just all snowballed. But the last 5 or 6 years, I've kind of stepped away from the professional market, and I've been a consumer hairdresser, product ranges and Boots and Tesco's and Argos and Selfridges and Harvey Nichols. And I sort of stepped away from the professional road, and I kind of missed it because I turned into a bit of a businessman, and I forgot the art of cutting hair. I forgot what it was like to get turned on by hair. And so what I did last year was put the whole TV thing to one side, roll my sleeves back up, finish this project that's been going on for 3.5, 4 years, and I thought, right, I'm going to get back in the scene and back into the world of cutting hair again, because sometimes you can forget where it all started, what it was all about, which was having fun cutting barnet. Yeah. And before you know it, you're looking at spreadsheets. So I'm back doing hair again, and it's kind of cool.
I mean, prior to you doing all the TV stuff and the celebrity style consulting, you was actually a prolific educator at all the major shows in the UK. It was said that at one show you made 36 appearances.
Yeah,
Tell me about that day in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I travelled the world with Babyliss, and I was doing New York. I was doing shows in front of 10,000 people, and here was me from England, cocky English dude with a skinhead, looked like a trailer trash, and I'm on stage in Mandalay Bay in front of 10,000 people. And then I was doing New York, Miami, Chicago, San Francisco, and I was doing a road trip with Vidal Sassoon. So Sassoons would go on, this global empire, and then I would go on stage afterwards, so I had to kind of carry my own. So I started doing a lot of clipper work. I was working in A-line bobs, asymmetrical bobs. I was doing really technical haircuts with clippers. Rather than fades, I was doing really cool haircuts. Flat tops on girls, on stage, leaving the sides long. So I ended up doing about 3 years with Babbelist, traveling the world, and then I got right into the helm of education. I think I did about 1,500 seminars in 6 years. I was literally at Salon International working for 5 different brands. I hold the record. I think I did 39 shows in 3 days for 5 different brands, 60 different models, different setups, different models, different music, and I was just going bang, 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 bang.
Haircuts to a song, was it?
Well, what I was doing is rather than standing on stage going, hi guys, I'm going to do a flat layer, round layer, and here's how you hold a pair of clippers and straighten. I was all like, forget that. Bang on some Oasis. By the time the song starts, I would have finished the haircut. So people were listening, watching me, visually watching me doing haircuts to cool music. And then I took that concept to America, and I was doing like 9,000-seater stadiums in Mandalay Bay, and people were listening to Oasis, and I was cutting Barnet. It was fucking brilliant. And it was kind of like, I wanted to bring something fresh to it. Do you know what I mean? I just don't want to stand on stage. When you're teaching young kids and teenagers and colleges, of course it's all about foundation. But when you get to that level of talent, you can't be teaching people how to suck eggs, how to hold a pair of clippers and how to angle your fingers. It's a bit patronizing. So I thought, guys, just stand back. I'm going to do some haircuts. I'm not going to talk. Take it in. So Babbelist supported me the whole way, and then I started getting involved with, you know, sort of blue chip brands, and that they kind of took on this new approach of haircutting. Lots of technique, lots of foundation, but doing it in a very freehand, visual, quick way. Because sassoons, when I watch sassoons, I fall into they're God with scissors. So Vidal Sassoon and his team are the quintessential masters of haircutting. So who for me to try and match that? So what I thought I'd do is match what they were doing visually with clippers.
Okay. It got to the point where Babbelist actually brought out a brand bearing your name.
Yeah, Babbelist. Babbelist are the biggest electrical company in the world, and they brought out my own range of. They went into Boots, Tesco's, Argos, Sainsbury's. And it went bananas, and they let me create my own brand of electrical products, and it was fantastic for such a big company. Because I was a bit of a gamble at the time. My vocabulary wasn't very good. I was swearing a lot. I was kind of aggressive looking, so it wasn't what I didn't think a blue chip company would ever say, we want him to be the face. I mean, can you imagine this being a face for any brand? But they loved it. They thought it was cool and it was fresh, and they thought it was a little bit daring, and they got behind it. And then Boots stepped in and brought out my first hair care range, and then Superdrug stepped in, and before you knew it, I was just working on brands and salons. I opened up a chain of salons, academies. But like I said, business started to take over, and I was losing. I was watching these cool cats half my age on stage, and I was giving it. That was me 10 years ago, with 1,500 people watching me, and now I'm kind of like, I work for Adee, and I was watching my assistants doing work, and I was giving it. Oh shit! I need to get back to the drawing board here. These guys are making me look silly here. So for the last 2.5 years, I live in St. Martin's Lane. I have just been in my apartment every spare night, and I've been just working on looks, new haircuts, working on new techniques, and I'm going to start going back onto the road next month and
Start doing the haircuts
start from
again.
where it all started from the beginning, really. Yeah. I'm kind
So
of excited.
you're now back with Babbelist.
Yes.
So you'll be doing your education purely with Babbelist electronic tools.
So Babbelist are my electrical sponsor,
So
and my scissors are Quanta Steel, and I've basically got my extension brand company, and I've got a beauty brand. So the whole 4 of them marry so beautifully together. It's like today. Today I've got some really talented hairdressers, some extremely talented barbers. I did all the kind of styling myself, but the key to success is having great people around you. But also the key to success is the people that are helping you do the work is to give them the limelight, push them up to the front of the stage, take them to the next level. Because I've seen too many talented hairdressers be in the background, and they get their day's wage, and they're never talked about and never brought to the forefront. So the key with what I'm doing, I'm building this art team of really young, credible, talented barbers, and I want to add my experience, because to be on stage, anyone can stand on stage and cut good hair. That's easy. But to keep an audience occupied and interested for 3 hours, that's the art of hairdressing. So with the new team I'm building, I want to try and encourage them to be confident and speak well and be passionate and confident and take the whole Sknhead brand to the next level. I think Sknhead is where it's all at for me. This is my baby.
Okay, so you know primarily Larry the Barberman goes to all of the barbering community. Will this Sknhead product be a product that barbers can actually put on their shelves and retail?
Yes. So the whole concept behind the product range is it's luxury men's hair care products. So it'll go online, it'll go into the likes of sort of Selfridges and Harvey Nickel type stores, but then the quality of the product needs to be at a very high level so it can go into barbershops. That's the idea.
And the launch date is?
We are launching 4 weeks today.
Being?
The 19th or 20th of March.
Okay. And what I want to also find out, because you started almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Tell me where barbering was then in your eyes and where you see barbering now in your eyes.
If we had the technology that we have now, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I'd have 25 million followers. I've done over 20 TV shows. I've worked the biggest stages in the world, but there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook. I used to have to do interviews like we're doing today, but this is a really modern version of an interview. And we had to wait 6 weeks for a magazine to come out. And now these cool cats, these barbers are
self-publicists.
Self-publicists. There's no more advertising. Some of the models I've used today, some of them are through Select, Models One, Storm, but some of them are Instagram models, cool cats. They PR themselves, they manage themselves. It's kind of insane, mate. You can do a haircut, video it, post it. It's global within minutes. So that's the difference, is we live in a world now where you can become extremely successful, extremely quick, without having to put the graft that I had to.
Okay, so what would you say the downside of this new technology is?
The downside of this technology is everyone wants to be famous without putting the groundwork in. Everyone wants to be, oh, how do you meet these clients and how do you do TV and how? I'm like, listen guys, focus on foundation, focus on your craft, but they want instant success, mate.
So that's a fantastic name, Instagram.
Instagram, yeah, instant success for Instagrammers. But at the same time, there's some serious talent out there. In the UK, mate, we've got some extremely talented cats. America's obviously another breeding ground for great barbers. Sweden, the Asian, Hong Kong, those type of countries, Sweden, Singapore, all these countries, Brazil are turning out some great barbers. But I just think that they have all the weapons now to become very successful. And you can pay a celebrity now or pay a famous person to do a post for you. And you're kind of out there. Back in my day, it was kind of like I had to do 3 or 4 years of literally begging to assist on a shoot before I landed, you know, the cats that I was working with. So Instagram and Twitter, Facebook has made things, but at the same time, it can destroy your career, because if you do a bad haircut, a bad seminar, a bad show, someone can upload that just as quick. Do you know what I mean? So at the same time, you have to police your brand. You have to make sure that I put as much time into Uncle Albert, who's 75 years old's haircut, as I would put into cutting Leonardo DiCaprio's hair. Same effort, same commitment, same fundamental way of working. You have to make sure, because it takes one person to go, who did that Barnet?
And you're done.
And you're done.
So you spoke about an artistic team earlier on. What we're doing here in the studio is very artistic. Maybe you can tell me some of the team that you've got here today, and will this team be going on to be part of your permanent artistic team?
Yeah, so barber-wise, I've got Tarek House and Aaron Dawn, who's been doing session today. I've got Jez Wilcox, who's creative director. I pretty much did the styling myself. We've got lots of video photographers here. I'm learning now that with Instagram and Twitter, you need lots of video content. So we've got 3 video photographers, 2 photographers, 2 makeup artists. So it's a big, today was like a big shoot for me. So trying to get a lot of stuff in. Years ago, we'd never be doing any filming. It was just, and now it's, oh no, behind the scenes. Oh no, 30-second boomerangs and clipper work. And it's all about video content. So again, I'm not used to it. I'm used to going capture that image. So it's, the goalposts have moved. So yeah, no, really strong team today, and basically, besides that, I've been working on a new, I've been working on 3 or 4 new clipper techniques.
This is when you're at home in your flat in St. Martin's Lane, yeah?
Just, I mean, there's only 3 ways you can physically cut a piece of hair. One is flat, one is layering, and one is graduation. So it's basically, we're doing this all day long. Pulling hair out, layering hair, or graduating hair. So I've been working on new sort of section patterns and working on some new haircuts that are going to be taken out on the road this year. Going to be doing all the barber events. Going to be doing sort of selling international as normal. Some stuff booked in Sweden and Ireland and Denmark and America. And I'm basically just going to be getting back out on the road. And
so what would these techniques be for? Speed, or what you envisage to be the new trend in hairdressing?
I think it's very, 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 very hard to recreate technique. Technique is technique, but what you can do is recreate how a haircut is done. I want to go back to the days of being able to execute a beautiful, beautiful haircut in 6-7 minutes.
Okay, so that's your high-end men's hairstylist. Barbering, I'm sure you'll agree, has progressed leaps and bounds in the last 5 years. As a high-end hairstylist, what do you, from the outside looking in, what would you say is lacking in barbering, and what could they do to improve it?
I think what they're doing in barbering is amazing. Hands up, amazing. I think what a lot of barbers need to know is they need to learn the art of scissor cutting, because I've been working with Tarek today. He can do it a beautiful fade, and he can do some great scissor work. So he's an all-rounder, but a lot of people can do this area amazing. When they get to here, they're lost. They're using big 6.5-inch scissors, and they're wearing these rubber gloves, and they're clumping down. It's a bit like, no, that's all wrong. You need to be able to work from a baseline to the top of the head and have technique throughout. So I think what barbers I think the barber thing will always be in fashion, will always be cool, but I think longer hair will start coming back. Sides not so short, not so banged off. It was only 10 years ago where barber looks were out of fashion. 15 years ago. It was all sort of short back and sides. It was all sort of like textured looks. It was all kind of like leaving the exterior bits longer. It was grown out looks. And then if you go back to the 80s, it was the classic wedge was the haircut. So I think that barbers these days, I think they've mastered the art of fading. What they now need to do is master the art of haircutting.
On top, the long hair,
yes.
Make it be a pre-thought, not an afterthought.
What happens in 12 months or 18 months time when fades go slightly out of fashion? The whole thing the last 7 years has been beards, moustaches, Peaky Blinders, really sharp, banged off sides. It looks cool, but what happens when that starts going out of fashion and longer hair starts coming back in? They're all going to be giving it, oh dear, what do I do here? So I think that
this is where Adee comes in with his education, his new clipper techniques, his Dan Quartz scissors techniques.
There's great dudes out there. Josh LaMonica, lovely guy, technically gifted, very smart, wonderful, wonderful speaker. Can do a fade, but he can also create an amazing haircut. And you've got Danny Robinson, a new kid on the block. I mentioned Tariq earlier, There's so many barbers out there.
Danny Robinson was actually groomed and brought up by himself, wasn't he? You trained him.
Oh no, not Danny. Danny Robinson was inspired by me.
Oh, inspired.
He sort of used to watch me, and he was like, "I want it." So it was kind of sweet when he mentioned that. But he's a young kid with an edge. Kai Wilson is another guy in the scene that I like his work. Dale Watkins, my teacher from back in the day, who works for Johnny Barber. I mean, there's so many talented guys out there that I respect. But I think with my world of experience and being on the road and being able to hold an audience and be able to make something interesting, be able to make a simple haircut fun to watch and cool to watch. And it's all about inspiring the younger generation, isn't it? And so I'm kind of excited about the whole thing, really.
Okay, words of advice to that young barber coming up the ranks that wanted to create iconic haircuts, travel the world, appear in TV shows, be best newcomer, be British barber,
Men's British Hairdresser
of the year. What would be your words of advice to achieve all of those things?
Technique, education. Watch, learn, mouth shut, eyes open. Be obsessed. Mannequin heads, watch DVDs, download Vidal Sassoon education, watch and learn, trade shows, Salon International. Be obsessed, because to be at the top, the best footballers, your Ronaldos and your Beckhams, the reason why they got to where they got, because they were obsessed with technique, obsessed with being at the top of their game. And then it's about a bit of luck. I've had a lot of luck.
Yeah, but luck is not a mystical thing.
No.
Luck is preparation and opportunity.
Yes. Churchill, great. One of the phrases I use from Winston Churchill quite a lot is success is measured on the ability to move from one failure to the next with enthusiasm. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to cock up. Don't be afraid to try and do something and fail. That's cool. It's the people that don't try and say, I could have done that. Well, I'm like, well, why didn't you? So don't be afraid to fail. Be obsessed. You have to be obsessed. It can't be 9 to 5. It's got to be 9 in the morning till 12 at night. So when everyone else is leaving, you've got to stay behind. Beg your boss to take you through a model. Beg your stylist to stay behind with you once a week and give you a few hours training. Save your tips, get to London, invest your money in good education. Learn from the best, but be inspired by yourself. No one inspires me. The only people that have ever inspired me are Alexander McQueen and Tom Ford. They're my two biggest inspirations. No hairdressers inspire me.
Yeah. I remember you saying a really interesting thing. MH Fed had a show, yes. And you said that you used to kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, idolise McQueen too much, and he said to you, McQueen, don't idolise me, be your own man.
Yeah, I used to bump into McQueen quite a lot in Old Compton Street. He used to go to the Compton, and I met him a few times in his shop and a couple of times in Nobu. And I was kind of like obsessed with Alexander McQueen, obsessed with the way he looked and the way he was so edgy and raw, and the fact that he really didn't give a shit. But he was our greatest ever designer, in my opinion. But I remember one time getting a little bit too drunk and eating his ear off, and he was giving it, he was like, don't be too taken in by other people. Don't be too obsessed, and don't be too sort of inspired by other people. You need to inspire yourself, because if you keep looking at other people for inspiration, you end up doing a watered down version of what they do. Exactly. So you need to be your own inspiration. I used to fill my own heart with confidence. I'd do something and go, that's the bollocks, that looks cool. And people used to give it, wow, you're confident. It's like, well, of course it is. That's the governor. Sometimes it wasn't, but you have to build yourself up. And I think you need to inspire yourself. Have people around you that you respect. But when it comes to hairdressers, I mean, Tim Hartley, Vidal Sassoon, Guido, Eugene Solomon, Sam McKnight. Those are the people that I respect Anthony Muscola, Trevor Sorby. I could go on and on. There's some really cool cats out there. That I respect these people, but I've never looked to them for inspiration. I've just looked at how hard they work and how successful they've been. And I love the fact that they've all got their own flavour. They've all got their own little thing that makes them who they are. So I think it's good not to be too inspired and not to be too taken in by other people. You know, it's you that has to do it, and don't be a watered down version of somebody else. It's terrible, man.
Okay. Adee, thank you ever so much for giving me your time, sharing your words of wisdom. I'm sure that young guys listened to this interview and something was missing. Maybe he was just too inspired and not beating his own path, and now he knows that he needs to beat his own path. I look forward to seeing this Sknhead brand out and on the shelves. Cool, I'm keen just to have one product where I can, you know, moisturize my face, my body and my head, like me, all in one. Yeah.
Listen, Larry, I really appreciate you coming down, and thank you, brother. God bless.
Thank you much.